Katie and welcome to my channel, Heart's Content Farmhouse. Today what we are going to be talking about is something sort of different from the usual, but kind of connected to last week's video, which was all about organizing your recipes and touched a little bit on meal planning. This video is all about creating a routine for your housework and specifically creating something that I call a baking day. This is a day of the week that you set aside to work in your kitchen and do a little bit of pre-cooking, pre-baking, things that are really going to help you throughout the week, and I think you're going to like it. Now, a lot of times when we hear about routines, we just think about how busy we already are, and this is just adding to our to-do list, and it feels like a ton of work. I don't want you to think that about this particular day of the week. This is something that just takes what you're already doing and condenses it into one block of time, like one morning or one afternoon, and things that you're doing throughout the week, you are just pressing them together, batching them in a way that makes sense, and it's gonna make you way more productive, and it's actually gonna make your life way easier. So every single week when you make dinner, you do things like chop up lettuce for a salad, you chop up chicken for a taco filling, and then 2 days later you turn right around, you take out a brand new head of lettuce, the same salad spinner, the same cutting board, the same knife, you do it all again, and it just doesn't make sense. So if you can find a way to do that one day a week, do twice the lettuce, twice the chicken, that type of thing, you will find that dinner prep becomes a whole lot easier and housework just feels lighter, and it's really just a great use of your time. So our very first step when we are doing something like this, where we're batching our work in the house, is we have to plan ahead first. There is no use chopping up a bunch of lettuce and pre-cooking a bunch of chicken and then throwing it all out the next week. So we have to have a meal plan, a weekly meal plan, and we have to know what it is that's actually going to be helpful for us to pre-cook. So first things first, you have to have a meal plan. It doesn't have to be a whole elaborate system. It just has to be a list of what you are making for dinner that week. That's it. If you want to do breakfast and lunch, that is great, but you don't have to. Dinner is the most important thing. So as you're making your weekly meal plan, what I want you to do is to really kind of think critically about each step. Not think critically, that makes it sound like it's hard. It isn't. But think about when you're making something, is this something I can make ahead? And it doesn't have to be the whole dish that you're making ahead. So like something like enchiladas, that's pretty gross if you make it ahead and pop it in the fridge and then cook it. If you're using flour tortillas, they get really soggy. But maybe you could make the sauce and the filling and refrigerate them separately. And then when that dinner rolls around, all you're really doing is putting things together and baking them. That feels a lot easier than making all of the enchiladas. Maybe you don't want to make the filling ahead of time. Maybe you could just pre-cook the chicken, something like that. So as you're going through your meal plan, look not just at the whole dish, but at the individual components and think to yourself, what would make it easier when this night rolls around to have done already? Now, if you want to take this another step further, you can. You can use this day of the week to pre-portion out things for lunches. Like when my kids pack lunches, it's really just super simple. It's like cubes of cheese, little things of meat, fruit, and a dessert. Well, instead of doing that one morning and then taking everything all out the next morning, I could go ahead and just lay that out in little containers for 3 days a week. They don't like to eat the same thing 5 days a week, but I could go ahead and do Monday, Wednesday, Friday lunch or Tuesday, Thursday lunch and just have that done. It's just one less thing to do when that day comes up. So you can pre-package things like that, and even though it seems super simple, early in the morning just to have that done is actually a great feeling. Another way you can use your time on baking day is to take things that you make from scratch that are kind of a pain that you don't want to be doing at dinner time. So things like salsa, guacamole, homemade salad dressings. If you like to make homemade bread or anything like that, you don't really want to lump all that into your dinner prep because it's just annoying. You've got so many dishes going on, it's a busy time, and now you have to make guacamole. Very frustrating. If you could do that ahead of time, it really is helpful. And the last thing you can do on your baking day, and this is not for everyone, and it's really very rarely for me, but is something like freezer cooking. So I do not like most freezer meals. I think they're mushy and gross and I hate them. But if you are not as picky as I am, if there are freezer meals you like, this is a great opportunity to just make one and tuck it in the freezer for when you need it, because the times that you need them, it's too late to make them. They have to be done when times are good and tucked away, and then when those crazy times come around, they're ready. It's too late to do it when you need it. So do it when you don't think you need it, and you'll be set. Another thing to keep in mind is freezer meals don't have to be a totally prepared mushy casserole that goes in the oven. It can be something that is much more palatable for picky eaters. That is something like pulled pork that you've done in the slow cooker or on the smoker, whatever, and then shredded and put in a freezer bag, and then that's just ready to go for to make sandwiches with. So that counts as freezer cooking. It doesn't have to be the traditional things that you think of that are kind of gross. And there are some things that are good freezer meals, like chili, spaghetti sauces, really any kind of soup, and a lot of breads and bread doughs also freeze very well. So you can make pizza dough, freeze that, and then when pizza night rolls around, it's very little prep. You don't have to start the dough in the morning. You'll want to pull it out in the morning, but you don't have to actually do all that work. You just defrost it, shape it, and bake it. So there are ways to break down your tasks and make them easier day to day. One of the big advantages of a baking day is you only destroy the kitchen one time. So like if I'm doing this and I'm doing a ton of bulk cooking, I don't like wash every single pot and pan and measuring cup. I will rinse it out, and then that is good enough for me. So that really actually saves me a ton of work to not have to wash every individual thing. Same like cutting boards and knives. Maybe this seems gross to you and you think that everything should be washed in hot soapy water in between uses. And if that is you, you can just ignore me. So what you'll want to do to make this work for you is to have all of your recipes ready the day before you want to do this. Because if Tuesday rolls around, and I do love Tuesday as a baking day, it just seems like the best day of the week to get this done because you have so much of the week still ahead of you that you can prep for, and your meal plan is sort of fresh in your mind. So I always do this on Tuesday, but you pick whatever day. Anyway, when Tuesday rolls around, if you wake up and you don't know what you're making, you don't know if you have the ingredients, you don't know where to store it, you don't have the right Ziploc bags, you're just gonna think, you know what, I'll just do this later. I don't wanna do this week. It feels like too much work. But if you take a few minutes, and I mean seriously less than 5 minutes on Monday night to prep this, to have your recipes ready, to have everything clean in your kitchen, it's not that much work, and it truly does make your life easier. So what I am going to do is link below in the description box some of our favorite recipes that we make on most baking days, and some other tips, and you can find all that in the description box. And next week I'm going to be back with another video along this theme. It is about how we do our meal planning. We do a monthly meal plan and then we tweak it. It's kind of an interesting system. I think you'll like it. I actually have a full course on it, but I'm going to do just like a little introduction video for you, and that will be posting next week. Until then, I hope you enjoyed these recipes, and I hope you take a minute to see if a baking day like this will work in your life, and keep in mind, again, it is there to make your life easier, not harder. That is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.